everybody for joining. We'll get going here in a second. We're pushing this out to YouTube Live. So for the media members on the call, we'll get to your questions here at the end before a couple of statements from Darren Dunn and Coach Mattio. So when you do have any questions, just raise your hand in the chat and I'll call on you. All right, Rob, are we good? All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to welcome. When you do have our new coach here today with us, we have Athletics Director Darren Dunn and our new head coach, Kristen Mattio. And with that, I'll hand it over to Athletic Director Darren Dunn.
Thanks, Thomas. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all doing well, enjoying this nice rain that we're having. I'm super excited. I think it's an exciting day for our women's basketball program. You know, I'd first like to start by thanking Coach Huth and her staff for everything that she's done for our program. I'd also like to thank a few individuals who are part of the interview process, search process. That's obviously President Andy Feinstein. He was very involved. Rachel Walton and Davis Bolchek, thank you for your support. And then Jeff Schimmel, who's with College Sports Solutions, was also a key part of our. I'd also like to thank our women's basketball team for their trust and patience over the past few weeks. When we started this detailed and thorough process over the past 18 days, we were looking for several key qualities in our next head coach. The first is a person who truly cared about our student athletes on and off the court, and someone that would develop them into great young women. Something else that was important that we really looked for was successful head coaching experience. We felt like that was really important. And a detailed person who can recruit Colorado, is familiar with Colorado, but also can recruit regionally and internationally. We had tremendous interest in our position. We made and probably received hundreds of calls and emails, and we talked to many different coaches and administrators throughout this process. I feel really good about our process and the person who we feel met all of our key qualities. Coach Mattio has tremendous success as an assistant in Division I and especially in Division II as an assistant and as a head coach. She has great qualities we always look for whenever we hire people. She is smart, she is humble, and she is hungry. She is a relentless recruiter, and she will bring a unique style of basketball to the Big Sky Conference. She's had great success on the court and in the classroom, 5 25-win seasons, a team GPA of 3.5 in each of her 6 years. She would have made the NCAA tournament all 6 years if it wasn't for the global pandemic. 2-time Coach of the Year in what I feel is probably arguably the best Division II conference in the country. She's recruited 6 All-Americans in her career, but most importantly to me, she is a great person who will take special care of our student athletes on and off the court. Coach Mattio is a perfect person to lead our basketball program into a bright future. And she'll be a great representative of UNC, of Greeley, and our great state of Colorado. Now, I am so proud and honored to introduce Kristen Mattio as UNC's new head women's basketball coach. Coach Mattio.
Thank you, Darren. I'm excited to be here. Of course, it's an honor and a privilege. And I couldn't be more proud to be the next head coach for the University of Northern Colorado Bears. And I believe it's a tremendous program with a strong foundation, you know, that's really been developed and molded by several admired coaches that have come through over the years, numerous players, you know, that have really come in and laid down the groundwork for success. And so we want to honor that foundation. That's my goal. That's been built. And obviously from the coaching side, we want to keep building on that as well. I'd like to first start off by just, you know, begin by thanking President Feinstein and Athletic Director Darren Dunn for just entrusting me in leading this program. And like Darren said, you know, Rachel and David, who was really involved in this process. They really helped guide me through a lot of this, and that was phenomenal. I couldn't be more proud to be able to be here today, and then obviously just represent this great university. So I'd also, I'd really want to take a second just to thank a few other people in my life that have been impactful. And if you just give me 2 seconds, I'll start with West Texas A&M Athletic Director Michael McBroom. He gave me the first opportunity to be a head coach. For that, I'm forever indebted to him, and really the entire athletic department. I'd also like to thank all the young ladies that I've been able to coach here the last 8 years, and even the current team now with Northern Colorado. Just grateful for their patience and understanding, because it can be a tough process in a transition. And most importantly, I want to thank my family. I think they're all watching. I hope they are, from the great state of Tennessee. I have 2 brothers, 7 years apart, birthdays today. So they get to honor me. Maybe I can honor them on their birthday as well. So I guess a little bit about me in this process. Darren and I have really known each other for the last 3 years. And we were in contact early and just kind of built a slow relationship. 3 years ago, we talked a little bit about just the job and what it looked like. And then, 3 years later now, showing up today and having the opportunity to be the head coach here, not only was I excited, but even more fired up about the opportunity. So for me, a little bit about me, I love the game of basketball. There's nothing better than being a part of a team that just allows you to work together for something great, something that you can't accomplish on your own. And that's absolutely what I want to do here at UNC. I want every one of our players, every person associated with the program, to feel and have that same love and passion for the game, and not just for the game, but for each other as well. And I've had a little bit of a chance to spend some time with the girls. I had a chance this past Friday to talk over Zoom with them. I also had the opportunity to connect one-on-one over the phone on Monday with most of the current and incoming players, mostly because I'm just eager to get to know them as soon as I can. And, I really want them to understand how important it is to build that relationship. And I want to get to know them. I want them to get to know me as well. I want to know their families. I want to introduce them to my family. I think that's a big piece of what we're going to be about. And overall, I'm just really excited for the coming days and the weeks, just to get to spend more time with each player in person. It's fun to learn and kind of get a feel for every personality that we have on this team. And I think we have a lot of great young ladies. So I guess if I were you and I had a few questions, I'd say, why UNC for Coach Mattio? Why Greeley? And it kind of came down to 2 things, just the people and the vision. It felt like the right fit when I heard the vision from Darren and kind of what he was looking to do, and talking with President Feinstein, and just the community overall, Greeley, the pride, the support. It was right for me. It was what I was looking for. And it was a no-brainer, in making that final decision. The other side is a little bit from the basketball piece is how do we get on top? How do we stay on top? And as you know, Darren talked about this recruiting piece. That's going to be a huge focus for us right now as we can continue to build and put together the roster for this next season and coming seasons. And we are really going to seek after young ladies and players that just value a family atmosphere, that want to be successful in the classroom, and that want to not only win games, but play and fight for championships. That's who we want to be. We want that to be our identity. And, if you ask me, what do I love in a player and what am I looking for? I would say, my couple of words are passion and discipline. And passion is my favorite word all time. But I want players that love to compete, hate to lose, players that show emotion. I think that's okay. And that love to be in the heat of the moment, making the big time plays. And we're just going to seek out players that love to play the game at an elite level. Style of play, I want to say the easy answer is our style is to win. We're going to win. That's what we want to do. But we also think we found a good formula for success over the years. And we're going to continue to play fast-paced, up-tempo style. And we think that's fun. We think the players like to play that way. We think it's entertaining for the fans. Obviously, defensively will be a little bit different as well in this league. And we want that defense to kind of help dictate our offense as well. And I think overall, if you ask style of play, we say, let's make sure we play to the individual strengths of our players. And that'll be something that we spend a lot of time on here, the first several weeks that we get our hands on once we get in the gym. Coaching staff. We're going to put together a coaching staff, not only to maximize the talent that we have right now, but really to look towards the future. We want to bring that next wave of talented Bears in here. And we'll, when we, after this press conference, we're going to be right on the phone again, looking for those next Bears that are coming through. So I think, just big picture overall perspective, there's a great foundation here to build off of. And that's what I think excites me the most. And right now, we're interested in one thing, and that's staying focused and moving ahead as quickly as we can. And the foundation that, we will always have in this program is going to be based off of a couple things. It's one is we're going to surround ourselves with people that love what we get to do and love what they do. We want to surround ourselves with knowing how we get to do it and then who we get to do it with. So those are the three things of, that we look for is loving what we get to do, how we get to do it, and who we get to do it with. I believe Northern Colorado has that pedigree, or I wouldn't be there. I believe that we have the opportunity to do some really special things in this program at the university. And then what I'm really excited about is just learning more about the community of Greeley. And from what I've seen, it looks awesome. So I can't tell you how honored and appreciative that I am to be here. I think there's a tradition of excellence. And what we want to do is create a lot of momentum right now with this program. And we're going to do whatever it takes. I'm going to do whatever it takes to move it forward. And my hope is that, we want our players to own a piece of history while they're here at UNC and have a chance to leave their imprint on the program. Go Bears.
Thank you, Coach. And with that, we'll open it up to questions from the media and from our fans watching on YouTube as well. Again, if you're here on the Zoom call, just raise your hand in the chat. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment in the chat section, and we'll get to as many as we can. We'll start with Jaden from the Tribune with your first question.
Hey, Kristen, nice to meet you. So you kind of mentioned this, but you're coming after two really successful coaches of this program. Is there any pressure on you to kind of have immediate success?
There's always pressure to win. That's the goal, is to win. But pressure is a good thing. We like that. If you're talking about one of the coaches, Coach Jamie White, I have a great relationship with her. She's actually was a mentor to me my first year as a head coach. She has given me a lot of insight of her time here in Greeley. And I thought that was pretty unique to have, somebody that I connected with 6 years ago and who came in and laid the foundation. She was somebody that took it from Division II to Division I and took it to a high level, and not just the winning, but there's a lot of big pieces to the program, that she really laid down. So I'm excited. I think it just shows that you can win and have success here. And I think that's, what we're looking for.
Absolutely. And again, you kind of touched on this already, but for the players who do remain in the program, what are some different ways that you want to, what are some things you want to do to really build their trust?
I think it's just spending a lot of time with them one-on-one. And that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And like I said, we did the Zoom call, and I even told them on the Zoom, you're not going to get to know me over a Zoom call. So we are going to work really hard to spend time together. I'm going to work really hard to make sure that I understand what's important to them, meet their families, understand what they want to do academically. And, when you connect and you really own all those pieces of, those young ladies' lives, then I think it's easy to build trust, and they understand that it is more than just a game of basketball.
Yeah. And do you have any set quantifiable goals for your first year?
No, not yet. And that doesn't mean we don't have any goals. But it's really just to make sure this overall culture of what we're trying to build and maybe what has even been there a little bit before in the past, it aligns with what we're trying to do and how we show up every day, how we compete on the floor, how we, compete in the community even as well and what we're doing. So it's just, it's a lot of new faces. They'll be looking towards the staff saying, what's this next step? And we are eager to lead them in that direction.
Absolutely. That's it for me.
Perfect. We'll go to Aaron Rath and go ahead and introduce yourself and what your affiliation is.
Sure. Hey, Coach, my name is Aaron Rath. I'm the voice of the UNC Bears women's basketball team. You'll see me sitting just to your right as you coach. I'll be sitting there at the table. We'll have pregame and postgame conversations, but welcome to the team, Coach. Excited to have you here. You answered one of my main questions, and it was why UNC, why Greeley. I understand why they went after you when you look at your record. Can you speak about the type of players that you're looking at? Really specifically, you're losing a couple big players from last year that I'm sure we'd love to have back. Have you thought about reaching out to them, see if they want to stay now that you're here, or is there certain kind of players you're going after?
I think we want winners first, competitors. You have to have that competitive spirit within you as an athlete to be special and do special things. But obviously there's a skill set in what we're looking for. And we typically start from the offensive end. You have to put that ball, in the hole. And we are looking for just young ladies that have a vision for themselves a little bit of where they're going and what they want to accomplish during their college career. Normally, if you find those, that you can have a lot of success with those young ladies. But, there's no secret, as Coach Beard, I'm down here in Texas Tech, they say the secret's in the dirt. You got to work really hard and you have to find those players that like to spend time in the gym and just have that drive to be successful. So, you'll see a lot of different, you'll see, I think there'll be athleticism, there'll be fast, slow, tall. I mean, we're going to have a variety of players that represent a lot of different things. We like compliments and we like to compliment the players that we have on the floor. So, we will evaluate the roster that we have now, and we've communicated with everybody that was, as much as we could on that roster last year. And then we will also fill some of the holes that we have too moving forward.
As long as you got some 3-point shooters and I can get some knocks it down for the Bears in there. Coach, my second question just has to do a lot with your coaching style. As I sit at that spot and I see Jason Alvin smiling, and he sits in that spot. And a lot of times we spend doing what we call the coach shuffle, looking around the coach. Are you a mover and a shaker? Are you vocal? Or are you kind of sit at the end of the bench and everybody's kind of wondering what you're thinking? Or are you going to let everybody know what you're thinking? And I ask because I'm going to have to know where I'm going to have to put my microphone for when you're on the floor.
It's a good question. I'm not a Phil Jackson, so you don't have to worry about putting a nice plush seat out there for me to sit down on. I'll just be up. I've always felt, and maybe it's from playing college basketball into the coaching, standing up on the sidelines, I will rarely ever sit down because I feel like I'm in the battle. I want my players to know that I'm in the battle with them on that sideline. I do wear heels, so every once in a while I've been called the Tennessee Stomper by our last play-by-play guy. Every once in a while if I need to, but I would just say intense. Passion is probably the best way to describe it, passionate, and just in it every possession. I love it. You have to love the games, and obviously practices are great, but when the lights turn on, it's time to go, and I'm going to be there every single possession.
All right, Coach, thanks, and welcome to the team, and look forward to having some conversations with you.
Thanks, Aaron.
That's it, Thomas.
Thanks, Aaron. We'll go next to Brady Holt.
Coach, nice to meet you. I host the whole show as well. We're looking forward to getting you on the program in a couple of days. So we'll be pumped to have a full conversation there. You had mentioned a conversation with Darren Dunn 3 years ago. Can you talk to us a little bit what that was like and how perhaps surreal that was like 3 years later to have the ultimate conversation, which led you to this job?
Sure. Sometimes things, happen for a reason. And I think early on the communication was introducing ourselves and, if there was ever a possibility and things like that. And really what happened was it kind of intrigued me a little bit. It got my attention. And maybe it wasn't the right time at that point, but I was ready for this time. And I think that was the most important piece is 3 years later, maybe I needed 3 years to process everything, but it was a no-brainer 3 years later. And there is something about, I began to obviously study Northern Colorado. I've always had an interest in the Big Sky Conference because that's where I started my coaching career at Montana State. So it's just always piqued my interest. And I've lived in Colorado for 5 years already. So I have a good feel for the state of Colorado. A little bit of snow does not scare me away. And so it just, that's kind of how it started, just an introduction and then paying attention for several years and then just being ready when the opportunity was right.
Coach, and then another one for you too on the recruiting process. You talked about that, kind of what you're looking for. What's that like in this day and age? Though you said it, a lot of Zoom calls, especially now making that transition from the D2 level here. What's that like so far? Just having Zooms where you're not sitting down and you're not getting a lot of those one-on-ones just yet. Talk to us a little bit about that process, even over the last year or so.
I think, the youth, they FaceTime all the time anyway. Sometimes when my players call me, they're FaceTiming me. And that's probably different from, how I was raised and how I operate. So I think the Zooms are fine. You can get a lot of families on Zoom and a lot of different things. Obviously, in person, there's nothing you can, it's the same like watching a basketball game or being at the game. There's nothing, you can't replace that. But can you still do a lot of different things? Absolutely. And I think it's been great. It just shows that with this technology that we have that, you can disperse a lot of information in a lot of different ways and you can still connect. And really, I feel like we haven't missed a beat in that area because of this.
Perfect. Well, Coach, again, looking forward to chatting with you on Thursday. That's it for me for now.
Thanks, Brady.
Thank you, Brady. We'll go now to Tanner Schwint.
Hi, Coach. Tanner Schwint, host of NoCo Now here on 1310 KFK as well. 154 and 35, right? So what that tells me is that you know how to start a program and you don't waste any time. What is it about this program? What tweaks do you need to install for yourself to feel like you're going to have that same success that quickly with Northern Colorado?
I think first, if I go back to that record, I also, West Texas A&M, it was about the players here. And we had a lot of skilled and talented players that, bought into the vision and the culture of what we were trying to do and what we wanted. And because of that, that's what allowed us to have success. So now as we fast forward here, Northern Colorado, same thing, just finding the right people and making sure that you have to have the skill and the talent, obviously. Players have to be able to put the ball in the hole. But there's the other intangibles of just connecting as a team and coming together and understanding, just this overall vision of it's easy to show up every day, but how are you going to get better? How are you individually going to get better as a player? And then obviously from the coaching side, we can handle the X and O's side of things. So I don't think that it's a process that we haven't stepped in before. It's just going to be new. And even the players were asking the other day, well, Coach, how are you going to teach your defense? What does the offense look like? Great. I love it. Let's talk about it. That's the easy side for us. The more important piece is just making sure we have the right people.
Right. And on top of that, there's so much that goes along with being a head coach of a university, right? Like this, right? Building the program. So we've had a year off. We haven't had fans. People are itching to get back. What are you going to do as a head coach to really continue to build that momentum and build that excitement around the UNC women's basketball team?
I think it's getting out in the community. It's meeting people for me. And obviously I told you I was in Colorado already for 5 years. I've had so many people reach out, from even Denver area and places like that are already saying we're at the games. I'm bringing my high school team to the games, things like that, it's nice. It's nice to have those connections already, but it starts with getting out in the community and building relationships because people want to, the same thing with our players. We want them out there because people want to come watch players that they know and have talked to before and maybe even have a relationship with. And it's fun to cheer those players on and it's fun to get behind and you get that backing. So I think it goes back to, spending time with people and that's the easy part.
Coach, well, we're all excited to have you here. Congrats and looking forward to talking with you again soon.
Thanks, Tanner.
Thank you, Tanner. We have a couple questions now from our fans out on YouTube. The first one here from LA Women's Hoops. You kind of touched on this earlier, but just again, at West Texas, did you recruit Colorado kids? If not, will hiring an assistant coach with Colorado connections be a priority?
We did recruit Colorado kids, and we had a couple Colorado kids here at West Texas. And the flip side of it is, I think Texas kids will go to Colorado. But no, we'll have a focus on Colorado. We'll have definitely have ties and make sure we bring people in that understand the state of Colorado, high school coaches, club coaches. That's going to be very important.
Perfect. And then this one from Alex Kirshner. Coach, what do you think are the strengths and weaknesses of the team and roster you're inheriting now?
It's a good question. I have not gotten to see everybody live, and I look forward, to that. It just looks like we probably need to beef up the roster a little bit right now. So, if I look in every single spot, we need to have more bodies in those spots. So to say strengths and weaknesses, I don't know if that's fair just yet. But we're going to do everything we can to find the best players to bring in. We still have a few players that we will bring in, to finish out this roster.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions for Coach today? Well, I think that wraps up today. I want to thank everybody for joining us here this afternoon. And Coach, we certainly look to our first game here in the fall.
Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.